Welcome everyone back to another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son George. I was my mother's caregiver after she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Sadly, she passed on 1/1/2020, but we started Together for Sharon.com in her memory and to advocate for a cure for all those still battling Parkinson today and their families because no one is ever alone in this fight for a cure. Today's guest is someone's become a brother in this fight for a cure and someone we very close with, but someone I admire and really he'll get up at any time, even when the the animals are just cock-a-doodle doing in the in the farm there. But really, such an honor to have you with us, Vikas. And it's been a long time plan, but they always say the best things in life are worth the wait. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, George. And also, congratulations on your new book. Excited to get my hands on a copy.
I appreciate it. I always tell everyone I really don't, not that I don't enjoy writing, but I don't really want to write anymore after doing law school, police, and then the PhD, which took 7 years, and the dissertation. Had a passion for it, but I was kind of saying to myself, that's enough. Then I entered the world with my mother's caregiver of Parkinson's and then as advocate. And I, again, I hope we find a cure tomorrow and then I don't have to do this, but I see a lack, a huge, and that's what we'll talk a lot about, but a huge, huge, huge lack of awareness for specific areas, whether it's law enforcement in my area background or some other topics like being a person who was a caregiver of someone who passed due to Parkinson, and I still don't see enough of that support. So I'm actually working on the next book. That's the first time I've been told anyone. So the next one is going to be focusing on people who lost loved ones, because I mean you're an expert in this field, but a lot of the foundations, and I love them all. And it's not a negative book, but it will call out, not by name, but a lot of the community and outside world. But I think that obviously we have to concentrate today on people battling and also the future, but we should never forget those we've lost due to Parkinson's. And that's a
Absolutely.
big topic for some other time. But ironically, I wanted to get into if you could tell us about yourself, but this literally just came in the mail like 3 seconds ago. So it's
Oh,
pretty
nice.
exciting. Yeah, this is our like five. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's been
Absolutely.
five years now since my mother passed, but we've been really walking with the Parkinson's Foundation and Moving Day for I'd say 7 years. But I've now been on committee for a few. It's just tough to the time, but I'm always going to be there with a table out there. And there's nothing better than, I love virtual and email and all that, but being able to hug
Better in person.
people and cry with them, it's just amazing. So maybe you could start us off today with telling the world and all our audience about the inspiring work you do 24/7.
Yeah, thanks. We have our own moving day and revolution ride coming up here in the Bay Area in the coming months, and or the ride this week and moving day in May. So I'm looking forward to those as a team captain, just like
So,
you for moving day in San Jose. Yeah, so just a little bit about myself. I was diagnosed 3 years ago, almost exactly 3 years ago. I was
uh,
45, so I fall into the young onset category, as you know, represents about 5% of the population. Folks under the age of 50 that get diagnosed, and so I fall into that group. Um, with regards to Parkinson's, I had been experiencing symptoms maybe up to 3 years prior to getting diagnosed, and spent 2 to 3 years looking for an explanation for the symptoms I was experiencing. When I finally, right before I got diagnosed, I had stopped working about a year and a half before that because I was so desperate to find answers and understand what my body was going through. Thought that it was something potentially more life-threatening or more immediately life-threatening than Parkinson's. So I wanted to dedicate myself to figuring that out in my care and stopped working with the support of my family. Um, and 3 years ago, I got that answer. And I guess the thing that's unique about my journey, or maybe somewhat unique about my journey, is that because I had been in search of an answer for so long, when I finally got it, I kind of skipped over the moment of self-pity and kind of even the awareness of what I was facing, and was just so happy to have some answers, right? In my case, it was a moment of joy, which sounds strange, but it really was an opportunity for me to just stop searching and recognize what I was experiencing, and give me some answers to what I was experiencing and a path forward. So I would say that my life at least at that point, felt like it was changing for the better because I had some answers and a path to to understand what I was going to experiencing and what I was going to go through in the coming years.
Thanks for sharing that. One thing I love the show because I learned something new. And again, we've known each other for some time, and I know a lot about you, and you know a lot about me. But I didn't know it's only been 3 years, which is like an eternity. But how do you accomplish so many incredible things? We're going to get to the Parkinson's Foundation, but being, the chair, I mean, so many things, and you're young. I thought I do a lot, but I know you do even more, I think. And then the other question, which we'll probably should take it one at a time, but I'm excited to discuss these important topics. But you mentioned an important statistic, and I'm a researcher, and I think it's important to
Mhm.
touch on that. But at 5% young onset, I feel it's a lot more. So I'm curious what your thoughts are, because as you know better than me, every person on my show lately and everyone we reach out on social media seems to be younger and younger, females, all races, gender. It doesn't matter because Parkinson doesn't discriminate. So I'm just curious on, number one, the time management skills, and also we send our love to your wife and family through anything that you're going through health-wise or just live, and also on the percentage. I'm curious for your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, let's start about the fact that nobody I know does more than you do, George. So, I mean, I think, and I know you don't want to make this about yourself because that's not what you do, but yeah, I'm always just inspired by the amount of advocacy that you're doing. So, I would say that you're counted amongst my inspirations too. Um, Let's see. Well, with regards to 5%, is it more? Yeah, I mean it's got to be, right. The way I look at it is, if it took me 3 years to get diagnosed, and we hear that people are living with symptoms for up to 10 years prior to getting diagnosed, then a lot of people are going to cross that threshold of 50 by the time they actually figure it out. So they're actually living with Parkinson's before age 50.
Right.
It's just not diagnosed, and so what do we do to get there? We continue to increase awareness of the symptoms and the signs that someone might be dealing with Parkinson's. We improve early detection, ways to detect early, which there's some really interesting research going out there right now. I've met with an organization most recently that's actually looking at voice detection, a way to, detect in people's voices that they have elements of Parkinson's, which is just fascinating to me. So I think over time we'll find out that the actual number is greater than 5%, but that's the official statistic, right? Around the number of people that fall under the age of 50 that are represent the million Americans and 20 million around the world that have Parkinson's disease. Um, in terms of finding time to do stuff, well, I've been fortunate enough, and I know this isn't everyone's situation, but I've been fortunate enough to take a step back from my career. When I got diagnosed, I was at the peak of my career, and I would say stepping away was one of the hardest things that I had to do. At the same time, it really gave me time to reflect on what was important to me. And shortly after getting diagnosed, I fell in with the foundation. It's a sheer luck, really. I mean, I started boxing. Everyone knows about Rock Steady Boxing and the programs that they put on. And I met a couple of folks from the Parkinson's Foundation during my first couple of weeks. Um, Rachel Hausman and Jenna Lennon, and they, told me about Moving Day and Revolution, which was coming up, and I needed some way to share the news of my diagnosis with my friends and family, and I thought, what better way than to raise awareness and funds for an organization that's doing so much for people that are living with Parkinson's, and I just started down that path and never looked back, and started filling out my days with of advocacy and outreach. Found myself talking to a lot of people for myself, for my own well-being, about their journeys with Parkinson's, and then um, quickly pivoted from there to hearing other people's stories and other people's journeys. And I would say I speak to at least a half dozen to a dozen people a week about their new diagnosis, or just having lived with Parkinson's for a while, and lend an ear, um, share my strategies for living well. And I get a lot of joy out of it. Really, it's one of the things that I've found is coping with Parkinson's, things that help. One of them for me is a sense of purpose, and that is helping other people that are experiencing what I'm experiencing, and helping them find the resources they need to live well. So I can't think of any better way to spend my time.
No, I appreciate it. And actually, on that note, I wanted to share a few important things, and I do hope everyone will go and support Vikas at the Parkinson's Foundation. We're going to share all these links so you don't have to write any notes right now. But I think that the number one issue, which we're both working 24/7 on tirelessly, is awareness. During the national plan to end Parkinson's, I had an odd idea, which was how about we love our Parkinson's community, but also forget them for a moment because I wanted to reach people who don't have Parkinson's, people who are not caregivers of those with Parkinson's. So I went on 100 podcasts around the world for people who had no clue. So I had to actually almost teach it. And it's not always easy, like, to relive it because, my mother is and always will be my best friend. And just the other night, I had a nightmare, like, about, everything going through. And doesn't stop. I'm still grieving 5 years later, but you and everyone listening actually are the only reason, and my family who helped me get through this still. So thank you all for that too, and you too, Vikas. But the important thing I think is we have to reach people everywhere. Not, whether I've done 1,000 interviews now, not on the show. This is a different world. We've done like 200 or 300, but
Absolutely.
I couldn't believe it when I realized there were people out of the U.S. You don't think about out of the U.S. for some reason. And when I discovered the World Parkinson's Congress and interviewed someone from, Africa, India, Europe, UK, everywhere. I mean, even I couldn't believe even Nova Scotia and Iceland, Parkinson's exists, and that's what makes me want to and drives me to keep doing this. But
It knows
what
no boundaries.
yeah, it's tough, but what, drove you to be on this beautiful board? Some of the people have been on our show, but are my family, like Mark Millo, shout out, and also Greg Hummer, and so many. And just the other
Yeah.
week we had a few more, but I consider this, I don't know where the photo is. It's a group shot I love, but it's people who mean the world to me too. But what's it like, kind of, I know not, you don't want to say leader, but being at the head of this advisory. Maybe you could share too what the advisory is.
Sure. So the people with Parkinson's Advisory Council is a group of 15 individuals that serve 3-year terms advising the Parkinson's Foundation on programming and um, literature and other things that the foundation puts out there to help people live well with Parkinson's. And I'm actually wrapping up my year as chair and my 3rd year as a member of this council. It's comprised of people who live with the Parkinson's disease and care partners. And it's honestly been just amazing, a great experience. Obviously, I thank the foundation for everything they've done for me, and um, opening my eyes to the world of advocacy and outreach, and just the amazing staff that does so much every day to help people like myself and people that care about us um, manage through what could be otherwise a really difficult situation or is a difficult situation. And the research, the advocacy, the education, the awareness, all of it, it's nonstop. And there's people working around the clock to make that happen. And so when I got the opportunity to serve in that role, I jumped at it and it's been a great experience. I got to do kind of the national media tour for Parkinson's Awareness Month with John Lair, the CEO of the foundation, and that was a really, really neat experience. Got to spread the word around the country about Parkinson's. And yeah, I mean, it's been great. I'm going to wrap up this term here in July and start the next chapter of my advocacy. But it's probably, I would say it's the foundation's given me the biggest sense of purpose since I got my diagnosis.
Yeah, I love that. Even just looking at all the events, there's really no reason or excuse for anyone not to join, even if you're virtual. That's the only positive that came a few years ago. Everyone went online, and now we can
That's
really
right.
reach. Like this show wouldn't be possible. I always say, I have no regrets. How we helped my mother and care for her because I was with her and did everything we could. But I do wish we had this technology because I would have had a show with her before Parkinson's and not about it, just to talk about life and things that I don't have today. So I think these shows like ours today will live on forever through everyone sharing it and supporting all that you do too. I was really excited when I saw, I did a lot of research like we always do, but you were on, Today's Show and really reached some media that I wish we had more attention from. Lately, we have, unfortunately, for reasons like celebrities like Brett Favre, who gave me a message for Parkinson's awareness, and we had a few incredible legends on the show. Surprisingly, we're getting heard, I guess, but like Bernie Kosar is now a friend of mine, the
Yep.
legendary football player. Unfortunately, he was just diagnosed, but how do you think we can get more attention from the national media? Because it really does open the eyes of so many. And I've written 15 letters to every major station 5 times and haven't had a response. But you know me, that won't stop. But I really like that they covered the your aspects and your inspirational story and this beautiful family. How do we keep this up, though? Now I'm depressed because you're leaving the port. I know you'll
Oh,
have
well,
more amazing things to come, but.
yeah, I mean, I may be wrapping up my term with the foundation officially in this official capacity, but I'll serve on my local chapter board going forward, and I'm not going anywhere for a while. So, this is the calling for me. This is what I do. Um, I think the more people we can get involved through the efforts that you're making, and through various channels, like speaking about it during Parkinson's Awareness Month, creating proclamations on the local level with our city councils. I don't know if any of you or any of your listeners have kind of ever participated in that, but in the month of April, we make a big effort to have these proclamations around um, Parkinson's Awareness Month, and it's symbolic in nature, but it's one of the things we can do to increase awareness. And I make sure we do that every year. Any chance I get, I participate in things like this Today Show interview or article, and just keep sharing with as many people as we can. I put on events on the local level. Sometimes, like in my case, it's called Pints for Parkinson's. I get people together at a local pub, and we just invite the community out and share a pint and talk about experience with Parkinson's, and let them know that we're here, and we're fighting.
I love that. You have to have one for me because I don't drink, but we support everything. We've had them on the show. I think they have a SAC division, I think, in South Florida. And just to mention, I do recommend, because of the Parkinson Foundation, they gave me the idea on one of our Florida calls about proclamations. And it wasn't easy, but we got the governor. So that was one of,
Yeah, there you go.
that was not easy. Like, I'm not gonna lie, everyone, you got to keep trying and don't give up. That's the only way to do
That's
it.
Greg Hummer, right? Very involved in getting these proclamations in Florida. Does a great
And
job.
then if you go to Together for Sharon and click now Journey and then proclamations, I actually gave a speech, which we won't play here, to the Palm Beach County Board of Commissioners, which was really exciting. And they gave a proclamation. So we did the county, we did the city, and we did the state. So we ran out of
Great.
ran out of ideas, but I think if we could get everyone out there, it's actually a little fun. If you're a little, you don't have to speak everyone. You can just, email and ask them to send it to you. So take a picture, share it around the world, and tag the Parkinson's Foundation. But also, you can visit and reach Vikas at his LinkedIn for his professional side, because we know I always forget which things to post here and which not. So I end up posting my dog on LinkedIn, and people don't respond. So probably why I don't have. And then also the work you do with other organizations is important. We've had some incredible, inspirational people by your side here coming on the show, and this is with the Davis Finney Foundation. And just curious, what's it like to work with? That's one thing I do like about Together for Sharon, because I don't, just stay with one organization. We support Michael J. Fox, Parkinson Foundation, everybody. There's too many to name, but I just want, the same goal to end the show. But obviously, I probably would keep it all up there, but I'd like to find a cure tomorrow. So what's it
Absolutely.
like, to reach so many various organizations and be kind of a team of so many?
Well, I mean, there's just so many organizations doing so much good out there. I think the key for me has been to find the ones that resonate with me. Obviously, the Parkinson's Foundation is, the one that I spend the most of my time with, but we've got mutual friends in the community, right? We've got Deb Pollock, who from Drive Toward a Cure, doing amazing work. The folks at Ping Pong for Good, that helped me set up a chapter here in the local area. Maureen and Trent, Maureen McLean, Maureen and Trent, who I met through the foundation actually, and it have kind of count as mentors, and help me bring the ping pong program here to this area. It just there's so many people doing so much good work, and I think we all amplify each other's voices, right? That's the key. If there's one thing about this community that I appreciate, it's how much we care for each other and how much we are willing to do for each other. I think there's something I call it the gift of Parkinson's, right? It's the everyone's got their version of what the gift of Parkinson's is, looking at the world through rose-colored glasses and being optimistic. But for me, it's empathy, right? Beyond empathy for other people with Parkinson's, but really having empathy for people at large. If you live in the body of someone who has Parkinson's disease, you know what you go through on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and the ups and downs. And I think kind of the phrase that pops in my head is everybody you meet is dealing with something you know nothing about, right? If you see them on a good day, and then you see them on a not so good day, which often happens, um, you realize that they're going through something, and that's true for people with Parkinson's, true for people that don't have Parkinson's. And I think just the gift of Parkinson's for me is kind of that level of empathy that I think you can traverse the world through those eyes, when you've seen those ups and downs in yourself or in somebody you care about. And so there's just so many people that live that and breathe that every day. And I think they're the people that I want to surround myself with, the people that I want to work with, and the people that I want to do good with.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you say so many important things. We can get for hours about ping pong and how to slow the progression of Parkinson through sports. And then I remember one of the toughest things, which I share a lot here. My mother struggled. She had internal tremors for many years until, unfortunately, the external came. But people didn't see it. Obviously, I believed her, but she was frustrated and didn't want to leave the house because she was ashamed. So I know she had it for 15 years. I didn't even know about it really till 7. And I only knew what the word Parkinson. I didn't even know it was a disease because it only affected her left arm, which still she was able to live independently. But one of the toughest days in my life was actually kind of as a police officer and just son taking away her car keys because it wasn't safe for herself or others to drive. And that was, when you don't have independence, that's where it's very, very, very difficult. So I try not to talk too much. That's why we put that one book, The Journey, because I really, again, didn't want to write it, but I just can't really talk about a lot of it. So I put it down. But, some of those are tougher times, but
Yeah,
seeing,
I mean that's something that I'm going to experience at some point too. Not losing losing that independence, and I think about it every day. But it's part of the journey, and she was lucky to have you.
Yeah, one thing I do wish, which now I'm saying two things I regret, because I don't have regrets except for these, but wish I knew you and everyone listening, because for
Totally.
15 years she never met someone or didn't even know that someone else existed with Parkinson's, and I didn't even know again what it was or if there were other caregivers. And we did find some of the organizations the last year, and I went to symposiums and things, but it was kind of too late for us. But now I want you to know and everyone listening that you're not alone, and that's why we do this. And yeah, I'm a phone call, an email, and text away, as you know. At least
Absolutely.
I don't know if everybody should be texting because I don't. I like my big thing is I like to respond within a second, as you know, to everybody, and I won't.
Not while driving, at least,
Right,
right?
right. I don't even go anywhere anymore, but that's another point.
No,
So,
but it's true. I mean, what you said about not being aware and not knowing. I mean, until I got my diagnosis, all I knew about Parkinson's was Muhammad Ali and Michael J. Fox, right? I meet people every day who have lived with Parkinson's for longer than I've known what it is, right? And they inspire me.
thank you. And now I want to kind of move to the final part of the show, which I say every show, which I tell myself to stop saying, but the fun part, because I think that obviously some of the conversations are tough. I mean, we've had some really exciting conversations. We had individuals come out on the show and say they're, no longer able to walk. And we've had people come on and the opposite, such positive things. We've had so many success stories and also tough ones. So the show really, I think, inspires me, and that's why we do it. But I was wondering if you could just list 3 words that describe who you are.
Oh boy.
That's the number one answer. Thank you. Next question.
Good question. 3 words: purpose, resilience, and family.
Thank you. I love those. This one's, I think, tough. I shouldn't say for you. I think it will be. But what is one moment or most memorable moment that stands out through most of your work with awareness today that you can share? And like I said, it's probably many, but is there one?
Is there one moment? There are several one moments, and the ones I guess they come under one theme, right? So I'll cheat a little bit and say it's every time that I've been able to connect someone with a resource that makes them, um, gives them hope or gives them an opportunity to live better, right? So it's each one of those micro moments that come together and resonate with me. I get that feeling, multiple times a week when I get to when I help somebody find a resource that they've been looking for, whether it be a doctor or a program or a care support group or a therapy.
Yeah, that's important because with awareness or this show, I see, let's take the Parkinson's Foundation. I see them as really supportive, but I guarantee, unfortunately, I wish it wasn't true that there's someone out there that doesn't know about them or what they do, or that they're even located down their block, like literally or virtual. And that's what the show is for me. So I get a little heartbroken when I see an organization out there and either they don't want to advocate with everyone or they just don't have the manpower or the female power. And some of them are actually, they look like mine. It's just me. Like everyone thinks they're a mega thing, but that's just me. And my heart breaks if you take a state, let's just name a random one. Let's say, I don't know, let's just say Arizona because I'm thinking of Arizona this moment. But let's say they have some organization located there and there's someone listening to the show by accident maybe or on purpose and they didn't realize they're literally a block away from this organization. Now they have support. That's what really in a way keeps me going, but also kind of it's heartbreaking that there are people out there who don't know that these exist, these resources. And that's why we need everyone to not only share the show, please, but also support Vikas and all he does, uh, today and in the past, present, and future, because that's the whole goal is just to reach everyone.
Along
So
those lines, George, if I could just
please.
mention, there's a couple. I'd say the next chapter of my advocacy, that's kind of where it lies, right? There's two things. One is seeing if there's something we can do about access to movement disorder specialists in communities that don't have them, whether it's bringing active movement disorder specialists to communities for a couple of weeks a year, a couple of months a year. Um, and allowing people to not have to travel any further than necessary to see a movement disorder specialist, which, is a challenge. The supply and demand just doesn't match up. And then the other one is just getting people, all the foundations that are out there do a great job trying to connect people with resources. But I think we can do even better in terms of making it easy to find accurate information on the internet for local resources for people, and that's worldwide. Like you said, this is not an American problem alone; it's around the world. And I think if you Google resources near me, we need people to be able to find those resources really easily. And I think there's some tools out there that we can employ. So I'll say that's those two things will probably be the next chapter of my work.
We have so much to talk about. We're limited today, and I always say this show doesn't end here. After the lights, camera, and paparazzi leave today, the show has to continue until there's a cure. But you mentioned something about even access, availability. My wife and I have a different show. It's called the Together for Sharon podcast, where we have a female voice, and my wife was a caregiver for my mother. We had a beautiful young female, young onset person, and she I think lived in the Netherlands and they had nothing for like 4 hours. So she had to drive like literally 2 to 4 hours just to see a doctor. And
Yeah.
it was kind of, again, heartbreaking. Even if it's virtual, you can't do some things, as you know, as medical professional, virtual. So anyway, but this is an important question. I showed your family, so I think I kind of cheated and know the answer. But on this show, obviously, you're the spokesperson of your advocacy, but we like to shine a light for a moment. If I had the technology, I'd shine a little light here. I've tried sound effects that didn't work out, but we need that. So if anyone out there wants to help, let me know. But we want to thank those in your life who help support you, because I think that all of us wouldn't be able to do a lot of what we do without that support. So who helps you during times of struggle? And, again, we send our support and love to them too.
Yeah, absolutely. I call them my mentors and friends in the community. And I can't stress the importance enough for anyone living with Parkinson's to have friends in the community and people that you look up to that have been through what you're going through, to help you through those times. And so there's a few people that I would recognize that I consider family. So they're part of my extended family. And they're people that I've met on this journey. Several of them, George, the Coleys, Bernard and Denise, are tirelessly advocating for diversity in trials and recognizing the importance of making sure that diverse populations are represented and their voices are represented in clinical trials and Parkinson's research. Debbie Lucchese, who is a fitness instructor who I met early on and has been an inspiration to me. Deb Pollock, who I know from Drive Toward a Cure, just the work that she's doing in honor of her mother. It's amazing. We have a common thread there. My career, for the most part, has been in the automotive industry, and so she brings together people with automotive enthusiasm or enthusiasm about cars and philanthropy together to raise funds and awareness for Parkinson's. Um, she introduced me to folks like Derek Torrey, who's working with Pass to Pass. If you haven't met him, it's a great guy who leads people on hikes, long journey hikes, and he's served as a mentor for me. Kevin Murray in Chicago, who I just reached out to cold and found out we had a lot in common, and he's been a mentor to me. And then the founders of Ping Pong for Good, Trent and Maureen, have been really helpful. Freddie Silva from Rocksteady Boxing, who was one of the very first people that I met that showed me that I could fight and do something about the progression of the disease. And we know him as Rocksteady Silva, Rocksteady Freddie. Um, Anna from the Young Onset Parkinson's Network, Anna Grill. She gave me a phrase that's really stuck with me. It's plan, don't worry, learn, don't forget. Or excuse me, don't learn, don't regret. Plan, don't worry, and learn, don't regret. And that's really stuck with me and served me well in various times. And then my wife, my wife and my kids. I would be remiss if I didn't mention them. My wife is a beacon of resilience. She's the first one to have said to me that we're not going to stop. We're going to take this situation and make the best of it. And we continue to travel. My kids continue to support me every day in various things and encourage me to keep fighting and living life.
Well, so many more questions I have, but again, I know that you have a lot to also. So I was wondering if you were asked to write a script to a movie about your life story, what would you call it? And what actor would play your role?
Oh, wow. What actor would play my role? Um, that could be controversial. I guess the obvious, bald head resemblance, maybe Vin Diesel, right? Let's start with that. If I
Nice.
could, be represented by Vin Diesel, he's a little more fit and muscular than I am, so I'd love to have him play me. Let's see, what would I call it? I think I wrote something down here that might work. Let's call it present over perfect. How about that? You know, life isn't about perfection. It's about living in the moment and being present for those who care about you and for those who need you. And so I'd say present over perfect would be the title of my movie.
Well, I love that. And again, we have to have a part two, I guess, in the future. There's so many more things I have to ask and want to know, and I'm sure our listeners too appreciate all that you do in your time. I do want to ask one final question for today, and again, just for today. I always say, again, this has to be continued. But if you could leave the Parkinson's community today with some words of encouragement, what would they be?
Um, I think you asked me about the three words that represent me, and I said I think purpose, resilience, and family. And I think that's really what it comes down to is everybody's got to find their own unique voice and take this journey and the way that works for them. Mine has been through advocacy, but that's been my sense of purpose. But I think my words of advice to anyone that's going through this is find yours, whether it be advocacy, creating awareness, just living well and thriving in yourself and being a beacon of hope for others that are going through the same thing. But staying connected and on some level with other people that are going through the same thing. I can't think of anything more important, right? And it's not necessarily through support groups, maybe one person, maybe 100 people, but whatever way that you can stay connected and support each other through this is, probably the most important thing you can do. It's that sense of connectedness that brings us together, that gives us a reason to get up in the morning and fight and make the best of what we're experiencing.
I really appreciate that and the inspiration to so many listening. Again, I hope everyone you can please share this show, but also support Vikas at the Parkinson's Foundation and also through LinkedIn and all the other amazing social media that he's out there advocating for. And I do have a message for you and everybody listening. We love you. We support you. We care a lot about you, and you're never alone. I, along with Vikas, will advocate for you, and together I feel our voices are so much stronger. I always end the show with just saying I'm just getting started because there's been obviously tough times in each and every one of our lives. But at the end of the day, when I have my own issues, I see and look to you, Vikas, and everyone listening to inspire me and realize that I can never give up till we find a cure. To everybody out there battling their caregivers in memory of all those we've lost, but until the cure is at everybody's doorsteps around the world. I have a feeling that neither of us will stop fighting. So thank you again, Vikas, and thanks everyone for listening. Your time today means the world to me.
Thank you, George. Thanks for everything that you're doing. And, I look forward to supporting you in the future.
Thanks, and thanks again, everyone, for listening. This has been another episode of Q&A with Sharon and George. Please stay tuned. We have so much more to come because we still have a lot of work to do, and just honored to have you here today, and especially everyone joining us. So thanks again. We'll see you soon, and we send our love. Thanks.
I'll be here. Thank you.